अब बंद कर दी है।
So all of you are ready now? Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Are you ready to start with the next session?
Yes, sir,
Yes, sir.
definitely.
Okay. This is the Big Data, Volume 2, Unit 5. So this is big data and characteristics, big data application, big data and data warehouse, distributed file, map, reduce, and all that. So that we'll do this now. So we have discussed what is big data, right? Because why did big data came? Because it is only started in year 2011 when Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, all these things came up. So earlier, big data was considered meteorological data or archaeological data. Now, this data, Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp is so strong so that it becomes huge data and all that. So even in few days, data is produced as much as the meteorological or uh, archaeological data is produced in years and all that. So that type of thing. So when big data came, it was having a different structure. It was structured data, it was unstructured data, it was semi-structured data. So that all this thing came as a problem. So how do you manage it? ये क्या हो गया?
सर यू
Okay, okay, now it's okay. So now, first most important thing was pre-processing because data is useful. Data can be utilized for production purposes. Data can be used for all the, and machine learning came as a important association with the big data because after all big data can be put into various spectrum, various forms and all that, so that machine can produce data in big form, and from there you can get the results and all that. So that type of thing which comes up here. So so if you now start with the introduction, we'll say the big data management of this analysis layer, consumption layers, and all that thing. So data governance, system management, and all these things. So all these things you can say, explain big data and its characteristic where we have done it and all that. Now, big data. To define the concept of big data, we first revise the fundamental of data and therefore what what exactly data means. Data is a number, characters, or symbols. So these are big data. Now we define what is big data. The term big data refers to a collection of information that is not only extremely large in quantity but is growing at an exponential rate. So that's where you call is the big data. So it's a volume, velocity, variety, veracity, value, validity, volatility, variability, visibility. So earlier you started with the four V's. Now it has become nine V's. That is volatility, validity, value. All these things have come up, and visualization is important. Some example of big data are big data can be illustrated the looking at stock exchange, which creates approximately 1 terabyte of new data every single day. Social media, according to various reports, more than 500 gigabyte of data is generated almost every day and all that. So that's what is important. So the just 30 minutes of flying time, a single jet engine is capable of proving more than 10 gigabit of data because these are Many thousands of flights each day. The amount of data generated is petabyte. Petabyte is thousand gigabyte. So on. So a big data is primarily an application of big data as the decision support. So ingestion, collection and preparation data, storage, analysis, consumption, presenting and sharing the insight. These are the four. So nine V's are there. Nine V have lot of data. So that type of this. So improved decision making, data driven customer services, efficiency optimization, real time decision making. आप दिल्ली में पिक्चर देखना है, कितने पिक्चर हॉल है, कहाँ देखना है, हाउ डू यू सी दैट, रिव्यू को एनालिसिस करना पड़ेगा. उसको एनालिसिस is you have to work out which picture you want to see, because you are out of 200 movies, you want to see one movie only because you have time only for one movie. So similarly, you have election process where you have one person, one party to elect. So how do you go about it? So that's again one of my PhD student had done election process for Madhya Pradesh and all that. Did very well and all that. So big data applications. So one of the industries that makes the most use of big data technology is the travel. Tourism and travel is most important. They are improving business through dynamic pricing and number of other factors. So then the social media sites produce a significant amount of data. Big data allows marketers, तो आप कौन सा चीज मार्केट करना चाहते हो, कौन सी चीज कैसे करते हो, that again goes from big data technology is utilized widely within the financial and banking sectors. आप देखिए आपका पैसा ट्रांसफर हो रहा है, क्रेडिट कार्ड से हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है, मोबाइल से हो रहा है, एंड फ्रॉड एंड कोई फ्रॉड कर रहा है, कोई प्रॉब्लम कर रहा है, सो एवरीथिंग इज देयर. So technology is the financial and banking system. The use of big data analytics can assist financial institutions in better comprehending the behavior of their clients on the basis of inputs obtained from their investment behavior, shopping habit, reason. आप अगर कोई चीज आप माल है, अगर माल में आप कहीं ब्रेड बटर रखा हुआ है, वहां और क्या चीज रखोगे, so that the people don't have to go from place to place, but they say on a mall on the same floor they can get the things of their own choice. Health care है, जो उसको सारा आपका important health, your what medicine you are taking and all these things are available. The use of big data or recommendation system, another popular application of big data is business is recognizing pattern client behavior in order to provide better and more individual services and all that. One of the most of the data is telecommunication and multimedia. Zettabyte, a new data are created. Zeta is much bigger than PETA and this and all that. So that the in addition, government and military makes heavy use of big data technology. You may think of quantity of data that government generates on its record in the military. Standard fighter jet plane needs to handle petadata and all that. So that petabyte of data, zettabyte of data, and all these things are there. Companies are able to predictive analysis because the capability using of big data. Companies are able to develop various insight into what production has to be done and all that. So these are very very important. अब कार का कैसे, अब because you are having electronic cars, so how do you do that? अब electronic car आ जाए तो पेट्रोल की यूटिलाइजेशन कम हो जाएगा. What do you do with the petrol and all that? So that type of thing. अभी तो UAE, Saudi Arabia, they are the rich countries, but when petrol is not being used, what will happen to those countries and all that? So structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data, because as I said, the data is of three types: structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. So that type of thing. आप कहीं फ्रेंच का यूज कर रहे हो, स्पेनिश यूज कर रहे हो, संस्कृत यूज कर रहे हो, हिंदी यूज करते हो, all these things are there. Structured data is a term refers to information that has been reformatted and reorganized in accordance with the data model that has been decided and all that. So this relation model of the data format decreases the quantity of information that is duplicated. So, so that there are a lot of advantage of structured data. There are several examples of structured data that are generated by machine, such as data point of sale terminals, such as quantity, barcode, and all these things. Unstructured data, information that is displayed in the most unprocessed unprocessed form is referred to unstructured data. It's really difficult to work with this data because it's a minimal structure and format is very confusing. Unstructured data management can collect data from variety of sources and all that. So data from the Internet of Things, sensor devices, email, presentation, organized in the storage system in a logical and specific manner. Semi-structured data, this is there is third kind that falls between structured and semi-structured, structured and unstructured. Data are partially structured data. Your data set might not always be structured or unstructured. One variety of such data is known as semi-structured data, and it differs from unstructured data in that it possesses both consistent and definite qualities. So that type of thing which you can say. So you have three type of data. You have to analyze it and get the best out of it. So use of delimited files in one illustration of data formats and so on and so forth. You have to see due to presence of one or more characteristics that allow for classification, unstructured data may on occasion be categorized as semi-structured data instead. To summarize, organization need to analyze all three kinds of data in order to stay ahead of the competition and make the most of the knowledge. So from that data you get what production you should, what are the things which are going to be for future, what are the grocery thing and what are the things which are required by the customers and all these things, are there fraud happening, are the things changing and all these are, this data is very very important. So these are the examples. This is big data warehouse versus data warehouse. We had done data warehouse earlier when in I think BCA there was a course on data warehousing. So the form of big data that can be found in Hadoop, Cloudera, and other simple data platforms are type that understood by most people. A type of technology that is able to store extremely vast volume of data, a technology that is capable of storing the data in devices that are not pricey, a type of data storage technology in which the data is kept in unstructured manner. So these are the all the things. These are the so data warehousing has widespread uses in the past 2 decades, whereas the big data applications have significant. So big data warehousing आपने पढ़ा होगा कहीं पर, so that type of thing I leave it here. Both of these have significant amount of information. Both may be utilized in the reporting process. Both are controlled by the devices that save information technology. So big data and data warehouses are not the same thing at all. Why? In order to understand this, we need to recapitulate the basic concept of data warehouse. A data warehouse is subject-oriented, non-volatile, integrated and time-variant collection of data that is generated for the aim of management making decision with such data. A data warehouse provides a centralized, integrated, granular, and historical point of reference for all the company's data in this. So why do individual demand a solution that involves big data? People are looking for a solution for big data because there is a significant amount of data in many organizations. And in such company, the data, if it is accessed properly, can indeed do a lot help for production, for help in improvement and all that, profitability and all that, more customers and all these things. This and that. So that's what comparison of big data versus data warehousing. We have already talked about this is big data versus data warehouses and all that. देखो big data warehouse. The term data warehouse refers to the accumulation of historical data from a variety of business processes within an organization. This is many technology. Big data refers to type of methodology that can store and manage extensive amount of data, process of data organization, data structure that is utilized in the process of this. Only type of data that can be utilized in the input as structured data and so on. You can so when opposed to data warehouse, big data doesn't require the same level of effective management strategy. As a result of the fact that data is compiled from a variety of business divisions, the data warehouse calls for management strategy that are most effective. Because this is your own company, this is multiple thing, multiple data, multiple structure, semi-structure. The data warehouse consists of data from your own companies or some allied companies and all that. So that's the difference. Distributed file system, so that you can say location redundancy, namespace component, this location transparency, redundancy, transparency, structured transparency, access transparency, naming transparency, replication transparency. The file is copied on multiple nodes. The location of the copies of the file as well as the copies themselves should be hidden when moving from one space to node to the other. There should be no indication in the name of the file as to where the file is, so and so. These are the things you can just go through. That's simple transparencies and all that. High reliability, all these things you can see there: data integrity, security, heterogeneity, standard of DFS system, permit DFS and directory. So advantage of distributed file system, so उसमें DFS का देखिए, DFS permit active user to access the store data, DFS allow the remote sharing of data, etc. you आप देख लीजिएगा. Disadvantage क्या है, advantage क्या है distributed file system पर. Okay, advantage and disadvantages are very. While using a distributed file system, difficulties encountered when attempting to connect to a database, etc. So these are the various disadvantages. These are the advantages. SDF has matched reduce. This is wide variety of sources such as the corporation, scientific data, email, blogs, and all these things, such as being to audit error and all that. So this is map reduce technology. Hadoop is another name for open source software project known as Aapke Hadoop, which implement map reducing technology. Hadoop is a collection of several software services that are all freely accessible to the public and can be used in conjunctions and all that. Hadoop distributed file system, abbreviated as HDFC, is a self-healing distributed file system that offers dependable, scalable, and all these things. So these you can read. These are the all just statements and all that. So that's there's nothing important. No, it's important, but it's nothing difficult to see that. Name node. Name node is single name node demands operation on a master node. Name node is responsible for storing and managing the metadata that is connected with the file system. This metadata is stored in a file that is known as FS image. So that's the type of thing. Name node and all these things. Data node, a data node is a present on each slave node, which is a component of the Hadoop cluster. Secondary name node, a backup of the name node is not provided by the secondary name node. The job of the second node is to read the file system at regular interval, etc. So these are the examples. Hadoop, name node, decode, data node. These are these. It's a job tracker, task tracker, task tracker, task tracker. So that's the thing. Hadoop thing. These are so. This is name node, data node 2, 3, and all that. Secondary name nodes and all that. So these are the secondary name nodes. This is apps image name node, copy of this and all that. We talked about it. These are map and reduce phase, input data, and this is output data. This is the reduced data in this form. So this is output data as reduced data and all. Map reduced task, the input data is often segmented and partitioned into pieces before being broken up and processed in parallel by the map phase. So this is map phase are there. This is a reduced form. map reduce reduce key value, this and all that. Job trackers, these are the job trackers and all that. Job tracker, this and all that. So this is job tracker. The job tracker service is responsible for monitoring map reduce tasks that are carried out of the slave nodes and all these things that you can just read it. आपसे Hadoop 1 and 2, yeah, आपसे Hadoop 1 suffered from a number of architectural flaws, the most notable which was a decline in the overall performance of the system. Actually, the cause of the problem was the excessive strain that was placed on MapReduce component of Hadoop 1. The MapReduce was responsible for both application management and resource management in Hadoop 1. However, with Hadoop 2, the application management is now handled by a new component known as Yarn, which takes over responsibility of this and that. So that's where Hadoop 1 had the problem and Hadoop 2 has got it Yarn. So that the problem is solved. So resource management, node management, these are the two new Hadoop tools. So Hadoop 2 is definitely better than Hadoop 1. So that's what I say. Name node, this is name node, data node, secondary name node, resource manager, and node. Is it tracker, job trackers को है, so resource manager और node manager बना दिया है. That type of thing. ये सारे और yarn yarn has added into this system, so that makes Hadoop 2 much more flexible than Hadoop 1. ये Hadoop 1 Hadoop 2 पर yarn पर आ जाता है, so that's the yarn पर रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट आ जाता है. इसमें yarn वगैरह नहीं था, इसमें मैप रिड्यूस था और स्कूप, इसमें सारा और फ्लूम आ जाता है, स्कूप आ जाता है. So that summarize this. So we have learned Hadoop. We have learned Hadoop 1 and 2 with the yarn, and we have learned reduction of the data and all this and all this. So this is what has been covered up in this unit. Okay. Any question in that? Any doubt? Any question? You will read it and then ask questions, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Right. Okay. Very. ये नेक्स्ट यूनिट खुलता नहीं है. Okay. This is programming using MapReduce. So it's again talking about SDFC and all that. Okay. Unit 5 of this book you have gone through Hadoop SDFC file system and all that, Hadoop file system and all that. So this is MapReduce, Mapper, Shuffle, and all these things. MapReduce advance in information control the last 2 decades have led to tremendous growth in data. Technologies are database management system, data warehouse, World Wide Web, Internet of Things, etc., and all these things. So computation of page rank, all these are important. एंड हडूप मैप प्रोड्यूस हमने करा है तो उसी को देख के हमने हडूप 1 हडूप 2 का करा है सो दैट यू कैन जस्ट सी दैट पैरेलल प्रोसेसिंग मैप करके है इनपुट मैप प्रोड्यूस एंड देन आउटपुट that is what we had earlier seen in the previous unit. So this is the tracker and then loading data into SDFS Hadoop system पे लगा file system पर लगाना है. So this is the program for this. ये सारा पाइथन प्रोग्रामिंग है सारा लगाया जाता है इट इज ऑल पाइथन प्रोग्रामिंग यू कैन सी दैट हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो पाइथन प्रोग्रामिंग हेलो
Yes, sir.
पाइथन प्रोग्रामिंग सबको आता है
Yes, sir. Currently working as a data analyst.
Python programming you should look up. That's important because machine learning is basically on Python programming. This
Yes,
is
sir.
all Python programming.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So executing map reduce phases, execution map phase. Same example as figure 3. We'll check the features of the map reduce in Hadoop. We will move to Hadoop folder in terminals and so on. This is Hadoop folder में डालते हैं. This is all programming exercises. So that's again this we have done map, shuffle, reduce, and all that, and ultimately this is the final output of this thing. This is again reduce phase execution. Again, this is the program for that. This is a whole software. Node failure and map reduce that algorithm using map reduce, word counting, matrix vector, multiplication, and all these things. इसमें भी software available है. So this is parallel processing. So you have to go through the software and check your progress, and then these are the references and all that. So this is your unit 2. Unit 3 is other big data architectural tool. So इसमें Spark है, Hive है, and working with HBase hai. So this is what is the unit 6 of the block. You have gone through the concept of Hadoop and MapReduce programming. In addition, you have gone through various phases in MapReduce and all that. So here, which is in this unit introduces you to the basic software stack of Spark Architect, one of the most popular architect for handling large data. In addition, this unit introduces two important tools, Hive, which is a data warehouse system, and HBase, which is an important database system. An open source NoSQL database called HBase uses HDFC and Apache Hadoop to function. Unlimited data can be stored on this extendable storage built on HDFC Hive is a SQL engine that use MapReduce. These are the various things understood. आपके Spark framework with Spark, the scalability and fault tolerance of Hadoop MapReduce were preserved while being designed for quick iterative processing such as machine learning and interactive data analysis. As we have already discussed in Unit 6, the MapReduce programming model, which is the foundation of the Hadoop framework, allows for scalable, adaptable, fault etc. Spark has its own cluster management since it is not dependent on Hadoop and is not revised form of Hadoop. Hadoop is merely one method of implementing Spark. Spark's in-memory cluster computing, which accelerates application processing, is a key feature. Numerous tasks, including batch processing, initiative algorithm, interactive queries, and scripting, can be handled by Spark. So that you can see the Spark is data processing system and all that. You can Berkeley में क्या होता है? This all this you can see there. You can read this and then you can come out with this Spark as a basic for thing. So this is ingest, all this data processing, Spark engine, yarn, and this you can say data, this and all that data. So stand alone when Spark is deployed independently, space is set aside for HDFC, Hadoop distributed file system on top of Spark and all that. So these are the things which you can read it. So Spark SQL on Python and R make Spark core accessible. Spark SQL on top of Spark core, the Spark SQL components add a new data abstraction called schema RDD that supports both new data, both structured and semi-structured data. So that type of things are. And Spark streaming, it is used for analysis if data stream of data stream. This component make use of the fast scheduling technique available in Spark core and all that. So MLib machine learning library, it is the distributed framework because total data science is handled by machine learning methods. That's where machine learning is. So and the MLib machine learning library is important. This and all that. So GraphX, it is a distributed graph processing framework. It offers the graph computing API that uses Pagel abstraction, etc., etc. So this is what Spark SQL interactive queries, Spark streaming, machine learning, graphic processing, Scala, Java, Python, R. So these are the things only Java and Python. R programming is used, but we have been teaching R programming and Java programming and Python. Scala we have not. So that's why the main data structure is the resilience distributed data set in Spark framework and also that. So this is what is important so that you can see that programming efforts RDD. This is a program effort. These are the programs written on this. Hive, Hadoop utility of processing structured data is called Hive. So it sits on the top of Hadoop to summarize big data and simplify querying and analysis. Initially created by Facebook, Hive was later taken up and further developed as an open source project under the name Apache Hive. So that's the so it is the Hadoop utility for processing structured data. ये देखिए thrift application job JDC ODC with the thrift client JDBC client ODBC client Hive servers drivers Beeline Metastore this and all that then MapReduce Yearn and SDFC. So this is the Hive services. This is processing resource management, distributed storage. Hive client, Hive services, processing and resource management and distributed system. This is the basically handled by Hive thing and all that. So MapReduce or Yarn, आपने हडूप हडूप 2 में करा था, वही HDFC का था. ये सारा देख लीजिए. Working of 5 queries, step 1, execute query, get plan, get better this. All these things are mentioned here. So you can just see that it's a programming efforts are there. You can see that these are programs in Python. HBase RDBMS has been the answer to issue with data maintenance and storage since 1997. After big data became prevalent, business began to realize the advantage of processing large data and began choosing solutions like Hadoop. Hadoop processes huge data using MapReduce and stores. It is distributed file system. Hadoop exercise that uh, semi-structured and even unstructured format. Hadoop is only capable of batch processing and only sequential access is there. So that's the Hadoop thing. Zookeeper peers, and so on and so forth. So that's the masters. You ultimately go to HDFC. This is a region server masters and Zookeeper. HBase installation step by step. That's what HBase is for. We should configure Linux via SSH before installing Hadoop in environment of Linux. So that's the check. He said all that. Again, this is what is done here. Working with HBase is our programming efforts are there. Other tools, the big data tools and technologies are available in the market. So there are so many things there. Storm, Cassandra, Static IQ, CouchDB, Pentaho, Flink, Cloudra, Open Refine, Map Miner, etc. There are so many things available now. A lot of people are doing this. So that's the next. This, again, you have lot more programming efforts rather than actually. So you have to see Hive, then uh, go with the HBase, and then Hive. So all these things are there. So that finish third unit, and fourth unit we do it again here. This is SQL, brief history of NoSQL, differentiate with RDBMS, NoSQL, and column based, graph based, key value pair based, document based. These are the again lot of programming efforts and something they are on NoSQL and SQL. Introduction to NoSQL. Database are crucial part of many technology and practical system. The phrase NoSQL database is frequently used to describe any non-relational database. So that's the type of thing. And not SQL. In other cases, the uniquely people agree that NoSQL database is a type of database that stores data in a format that is different from the relation database. What is NoSQL? Is a way to build up database that can accommodate many different kinds because you have structured, semi-structured, unstructured, all type of data is there. So NoSQL is case of development and performance scale offered have helped. Popular name NoSQL is a sometimes uh, refer to as non-relational database. Brief of non-SQL mainly up to 2000 this Oracle, IBM this database this 2003 document this NoSQL division white paper Google, Facebook, IBM this, and this new open source and mainstream Cassandra, React, Apache, HBase, MongoDB, CouchDB, and so on. Red. So 2000 onward, adoption of cloud, DBase system and all that. A storage cost reduced significantly the quantity data that applications were required to store and all these things. NoSQL database gives programmers a great deal of freedom by enabling them to store enormous amount of unstructured data. So that's important. ये देखिए the cost of MB of data over time, large scale adopted from SDF. This is the cost, and this is the year. Difference between RDBMS and this NoSQL database fall under the category of non-relational database that uses the structured query language, or table-oriented NoSQL database use other either document-oriented or key value. All these things are differences are given there. MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL servers are all example of SQL database. This and all that. Vertically scalability is required for SQL database. This means that an excess amount of load must be able to manage by increasing the amount of CPU, SSD, RAM, GPU, etc. on your servers. When it comes to NoSQL, the ability to scale horizontally is one of their defining characteristics. This means that the addition of additional server will make the task of managing it data more manageable. So it is easier manageable and all that. The type of NoSQL databases, there are various types. There are column based, graph based, key based, documenter based, and all that. So column based is explained there. How does a column based database work? Column based database is a versus row database. For instance, this is given this, and column database advantage and disadvantage. Are column database always non-SQL? Before we conclude, we should note that column store database are not always non-SQL. It's frequently argued that column stored belongs firmly in the NoSQL camp because it differs so much from relational database. The debate between NoSQL and SQL is generally quite minced. Therefore, this is not usually the case. They are essentially the same as SQL technique when it's not usually the case. They are essentially the same as SQL technique when it comes to column store based and so on and so forth. So you can see that graph based, the initial uh, hardware handles that made it feasible for SQL and all these things that you can just it's a basic thing. Different nodes and edges in graph database. This is a person, friends, city, restaurant, likes, rating, lives in address, location, and all that. So different nodes and edge in graph. When we do graph database, it resolves issue with many to many relationship. When connection among data pieces are more significant, for example, there is a profile with some unique information, but the main selling point is the relationship between the different profiles, which is how you get connected. Low latency with big amount of data and so on and so forth. So these are the example of five friends sharing social network. So these are the people. Each one is sharing the network. This is all. So that's what is the so our user friend this and all that. Friendship table, binary they all This is one. This fellow is linked up to all, but they are not linked to each one. They are linked up to this fellow through this. This fellow is linked up to this. This fellow is linked up to this. This is the master. New 4G is both an open source and interesting, developed on Java's graph database. It is considered to be one of the best graph database. So that's again, so Redis graph, orient DVD, key value pair based. How does a key value work? So that's where it has explained that in reality, key value storage is quite simple. A value is saved with a key that specifies its location, and value can be pretty much any piece of data or information. In reality, this design idea may be found in almost every programming language as an array or map object referred to figure 5 and all that. So here you can see that city, day, state and all that. Uh, so that type of thing. Figure, for example, key-based system. Benefit of key-based system has been explained. No simplifying this. When to use key values. Key value stores excel in this area because traditional relational database are not actually designed to manage this. Profiles and user preferences are these. All these are simple reading. It's a document based and all that. How does a document database work? That you can read it, database document, this and all that. Weak atomicity, consistency check, security, and all these things. You can just read this and all that. So that covers up the total block too. So this is a simple some programming efforts and some explaining how Hadoop 1, Hadoop 2, how Yarn, how this Hive, how DBase, how NoSQL and SQL are changed between the big database, uh, relational database and NoSQL, or NoSQL and SQL. What are the differences and all that? So all these things are well explained. So then we'll go to the next chapter, which will talk about machine learning and all that. That we'll do tomorrow. Any question on what we have done so far? We have covered up much faster. In 1 hour, we have finished all the 4 units. But any question? Yes? You will read? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you will read and come back with if there are any questions or doubts on this tomorrow. Okay?
Definitely. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then relax. Take it easy. If anybody has a question or any question on a project or anything you have, we can discuss that. We have time to discuss that. Otherwise, you can relax.
Sir, there is a one doubt that
Yes.
I am preparing a project on a financial risk analysis on the
On
basis of Python.
what subject?
Financial risk analysis, sir.
Uh, how are you adding AI into it?
No, sir. I am basically using the Python, the Matplotlib, the also the machine learning, some of only functions.
Agar machine learning is AI. If you are using machine learning, that's very good.
यस सर सो बेसिकली सर उस प्रोजेक्ट पे बस इतना ही है कि मतलब ये क्या मतलब डॉक्यूमेंटेड रहेगा बिकॉज मैं किसी डेटाबेस से नहीं यूज कर रहा हूँ बिकॉज क्योंकि डेटाबेस मतलब थोड़ा सा ये है ऑफिस का लैपटॉप है तो मैं डेटाबेस नहीं यूज कर रहा मैं उसको एक्सेल में स्टोर करके एक्सेल इंपोर्ट करवा रहा हूँ और उससे मैं विजुअलाइजेशन
What do you use machine learning for?
Give me a moment, sir. I'm just using like कि I'm picking a top four companies which basically मतलब financial में ऑडिट करती हैं तो उनके ऑडिट रिपोर्ट को एनालाइज करके बता रहा हूँ कि इसमें कितना लैक ऑफ ऑडिट है और कहाँ पे इम्प्रूवमेंट कितना हो सकता है
This is using data anyway.
यस सर
So you use machine learning with it because after all, data is going into statistics form. It
Yes,
with
sir.
machine because lot of data it will try to have a pattern and get the pattern done by machine method,
Yes, sir.
and then you get the good results.
Yes, sir. I'm just preparing for that कि अगर मतलब वो select हो पाएगा या नहीं मतलब अगर
होएगा
synopsis
बिल्कुल
submit कर
होएगा, why not? If you do machine learning and all that and use the data, it will definitely be successful. So you are as soon as you complete your third semester, you should be preparing for synopsis and then for the project.
Yeah, sure, sir. I mean, synopsis already मतलब prepared है. I think at
इसमें
30th
इसमें
of
मशीन लर्निंग बड़ा क्लियरली लिखो.
okay, sure, sir. मैं machine learning और mention कर देता हूँ इसमें.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Anybody who wants to talk about project? No?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, basically, I have prepared a project, means in the process of preparing a project, which is sort of a retail invoicing and a sales data analytics system, which could be used by the local retail shops on a small and medium scale, where they can build the invoice, they can generate the PDFs out of it, and they can basically uh, see the data analytics on the system, means what sort of sale they are basically doing, which products are basically being sold the most in a particular time interval, who was the best customer as such in that time interval, and likewise. So
So
like
you are using the data of the customer's
yes, yeah,
requirement,
yeah.
and how do you analyze the data?
So I'm basically currently I'm just showing the sales data. Like if in case there is a say I took a weeks of sales, then I'm basically showing the total sales per day. Then I'm showing the
But
customers who were doing the most sales, top 10 customers.
why
Then
don't you use machine learning method for this?
I basically plan to do it, but like for now, as we are very near to submission of the synopsis, so I will extend it. I'm basically planning to put a FP Growth 3 AI algorithm where they will sort which two products are basically sold the most together, so that
Yeah.
retailer it will be
Because
helpful.
today AI has become viral, so
Yeah,
therefore more you put data in AI, better it is.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
because for your interviews, for your future prospect, once
yeah,
your project is AI based, it will shine very brightly.
yeah, yes, 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 sir. Yes,
Good.
sir.
Okay.
But sir,
Yeah,
sometimes what happen कि अगर हम मशीन लर्निंग के कोड्स और फंक्शंस यूज करते हैं तो इट विल टेक लाइक कि 5 से 10 मिनट लगता है उसको एग्जीक्यूट होने में. तो
Hmm.
माइट भी अगर मैं रिपोर्ट अगर मतलब प्रोफेसर्स को या फिर अपने जिसको मैं प्रोजेक्ट सबमिट करूँ उसको मैं आउटपुट अगर वो बोल रहा है दिखाने के लिए और उस टाइम वो रन नहीं हुआ काफी टाइम लिया तो माइट भी दे मतलब रिजेक्ट कर सकते हैं क्या वो.
नहीं नहीं, रन नहीं होता तो क्यों नहीं रन होता?
नहीं नहीं सर वो एटलीस्ट क्या था कि मतलब थोड़ा सा हैवी होता है तो उसको 5 से 10 मिनट लगते हैं रन होने के
ये
लिए.
कोई बात नहीं, it doesn't matter. They will see it. They are knowledgeable. They know how to use it.
श्योर सर.
Anybody else? There are no lady students.
Yes, sir.
आपने
Hello, sir.
प्रोजेक्ट करना है?
Sir, I am making a project which is based on Python. I am making a security camera which is based on Python language, basically.
Okay. So you also use AI technique somewhere, either deep learning or neural net or machine learning. Something you should use.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that it becomes more important for your future, for your interviews, for this, because AI has multiple number of posts. Because now India is developing AI in a big manner, and all the companies, irrespective of it is a computer company or a non-computer company, they use AI, right? Okay, lost. All right. Okay then. Let me have your attendance.